Hey everybody, welcome to our webinar this week. We still have about 3 minutes before we begin, but if you could just put in the chat where you're joining us from. I just saw we had a couple more people. We've got someone from Ohio, that's my home state, so welcome. A couple more people joined in. If you could just drop in the chat where you're from. Hi from Colorado. I know we had made a joke last week about having some hold music, but unfortunately I couldn't figure out how to make that happen. And I'm very anti-Christmas before Halloween. I don't know if anyone's on my side. New York City.
Well, you could sing to us.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. For the people who just joined, if you could drop in the chat where you're joining us from, that would be awesome. Welcome, Chicago. Nice to have you here. Philippines. That's awesome. Glad you could join us. You know, Robbie, you could sing to us too. I just thought of that.
I'm drinking coffee. I can't do that yet. It's too early for me to sing. If this webinar was being held at, 7 at night, that might be a different story.
For those of you who just joined, if you could drop in the chat where you're joining us from, we'd love to know. Boston, Oregon. Glad you guys could join us. Menlo Park. Did I say that correctly?
That's Menlo Park, and that's by me. I'm up in San Francisco, so Menlo's down in about an hour south, maybe 45 minutes south.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me just get this out of the way. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to the third episode of our Holiday Hustle series. I'm Kelsey, Director of Customer Success Strategy, and with me is Robbie, Justuno's Director of Solutions.
Hey, everybody.
This week, we're going to be covering how to test and schedule your promotions. As always, if you have questions, put them in the chat, and a customer success strategist will be able to help you out. This episode is just a little shorter than the others. So at the end, we're going to go over any questions you may have about the design canvas or strategy questions, as well as anything else you'd like to chat with us about. We're a little bit of a smaller group this time, so feel free to start a dialogue with us. Sorry about that, guys. As the big sale days draw closer, it is important to make sure that your promotions are working correctly before publishing them live on your site. This is a major step in getting ready for the busy season. You want to be sure that every aspect of your promotions are correct. Live testing is a great feature to utilize at this time, and that way, not only those with access to Justuno, but for the rest of your team members. And we're going to teach you how to do that. Robbie, do you mind taking over?
Sure. You want me to take over the share?
Oh, no, just how to test.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, and I would recommend doing this as early as possible. As I'm sure many of you are aware, a lot of support channels get flooded during the holidays. Ours is no different. And so we usually recommend just kind of setting up these sort of mock tests. And the first step that you'll do is if you've already created promotional rules for the display, so you already determined the audience that will see this promotion, what we typically will do is we'll duplicate that rule, what we call the live rule, And in the duplicated version, we'll just add a condition that says current URL contains hash JU test. And it can be hash whatever you want, but that's sort of what we just do because that's just sort of muscle memory at this point for us. So we'll have that duplicated test rule versus the live rule, and we'll turn the live rule off. So you can see here, Kelsey has the current URL contains. And so we turn off the live rule, we turn on the test rule, and then we'll go ahead and publish those changes. And you can safely publish those without fear that any actual visitors on your site are going to see it, because no one's going to go to that JU test. And I would say furthermore too, this is great if you're testing anything maybe in page, if you are running any Justuno displays in a slide out cart or in an in-page element. This will allow you, so this is a center screen pop-up, no one live sees it, and it also doesn't 404 the URL. So you are still on an active URL, you just added the hash to it. So if you're testing an in-page element, you can still test that with the hash JU test. And then once you feel good about the design, the trigger, and the audience that it's being shown to, just go ahead and flip that test URL or that test rule off, turn your live rule on, and republish again, and you're live. So that is how we do live testing. A lot of bigger clients might have a sandbox account that they test, and then they remove the sandbox or the dev.url, but it's essentially the same process, right? We're testing live and we're making sure that no visitors can see it. Let's see. So once we get through the rule testing and the display testing, one element that you're going to want to focus on during all of this is testing all of your CTAs, testing all of your close buttons, testing your coupon codes. If you're running let's say you're auto applying a coupon code at checkout, you run through that whole process. I'm sure you've all done this before, maybe when you set up certain apps for your stores and you want to test it as the end user. So we absolutely encourage you, make sure your CTAs work. If you are if you're using like a form and you're connected to Klaviyo, for instance, let's make sure those test emails are going through, and then you'll feel that much more sound about how you're doing it. But there are certain elements that people place in Justuno campaigns that should be tested. CTAs, close buttons, forms, and coupon codes are 4 examples of critical things to test.
Robbie, if I may interject real quick, just something about when you're testing, when you set that rule up, make sure that you change this to show on every page. That's just so you don't have to keep refreshing your session to test your promotion. And then also just a quick reminder, you can create a new rule set in the basic rules. You'll just create rule. My bad. You'll just create the rule. You can get to that specific area by showing show here on every page on your right hand side. And then you're just going to do show on specific pages, hashtag JU test. And you'll want to make sure this says contains. And that's
sorry, go ahead.
Rule sets.
While we're on this, Kelsey, can we go to, let's say you're testing a banner that's going to show up to people that are clicking through from a certain tracking URL, like a UTM campaign. Can we just show them real quick where that, will show to email? You can click email here. And then let's say you already have the UTM campaign. You'll just go ahead and drop that campaign in. UTM campaign maybe equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. So you already know that is the tracking parameter that you're going to use, and that email has not been sent out yet, right? So nobody is going to land on that URL, but you can just add that section. You can say hash UTM campaign equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, add it onto your URL and reset your Justuno session to make sure that that's the first URL that we've seen that you land on. And that can actually help you test maybe email click-through banners. And that's just one method. Another method is to just run a test email that gets sent to you that you click through. A lot of people do that as well. So a few different ways to test different channel traffic. Once you're done Once you feel good about your testing, once you feel like the promo is exactly where you want it to be, we'll just go ahead and schedule it. Since we're talking about a lot of holiday promotions, maybe a Black Friday promotion, for instance, we'll just go up here to the basic settings, and then we'll schedule it to start on maybe Black Friday, which is the 29th. The 29th, and we'll start it at midnight. And then you can set it to end on, let's say you're going to end it on Cyber Monday. So that'll be December 2nd or December maybe 1st at 11:55 p.m. or something like that. And one note also, these times for Justuno, these times are all in Pacific Standard Time. So out there in the Philippines, in Colorado, in New York City, Chicago, everywhere, just remember that you sort of offset those times to line up with Pacific Standard Time, because that's basically where a lot of our servers are located, or at least the ones that help kind of fuel all the scheduling. So they have to be scheduled in Pacific. So just keep that in mind. And then make sure, definitely do publish your promotions. This allows you to kind of create a workflow and feel kind of good about, I have a Black Friday campaign scheduled, and it's also scheduled to turn off. And then right after that, my Cyber Monday campaign is scheduled to turn off, and then that has an end date. And so you're creating this sort of ladder of promotions that you're getting the work all done ahead of time, instead of having to go in and manually turn things on and off.
Once you've scheduled a promotion, you will get this icon right next to your promotion. You'll notice that if it's live, it'll be green. When it's scheduled, it'll just have this blue inside part. So make sure that when you schedule these, that this is what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else on scheduling or testing, Robbie?
No, same thing applies to our A/B test. So as we've been mentioning the past few weeks, right now is the time to really be A/B testing your lead capture. So let's say you go in right after today's webinar and you want to set up an A/B test. Then you can set that to go live right now, or you can schedule it for a time that's easier for you to get back to it. And basically the same scheduling and all the rules apply to our testing. But that's pretty much it.
At this point, we suggest that you review this week's and all previous checklists that have been sent out in the emails to make sure that you're caught up and ready to go. So far, we've covered confirming your conversion and cart code that are installed, having a plan for your offsite marketing strategies, complete the plan for your sales and promotions, have ended all A/B tests by November 1st or have them scheduled to end, complete your VIP and early access experience, and if you have one, start building promotions. One other thing to keep in mind when going through these steps is to ensure that your credit card is up to date within your Justuno account. Nothing is worse than having to deal with admin issues right in the smack middle of the holiday busy season. That's everything we had to cover today. We wanted to leave up a lot of time to answer questions and talk to you guys very candidly about what you're looking for and what we can help you with. We do have a couple of questions from the most recent participants, as well as questions that may come from you guys in the chat. So we're just going to run through these first, and feel free to put any other questions you have in the chat or in the Q&A section. The first question is, what's the most important thing to keep in mind when running an A/B test in terms of how much to keep the same, change, time, run, etc.? Do you have any thoughts, Robbie?
On the most important things to keep in mind with an A/B test, look for big changes. Test things that will provide bigger lifts and gains that you're looking for. So don't test the color of your CTA. Like that's, unless you're looking for really kind of microscopic or you've done everything else first, don't test the color of your CTA. Test the offer instead. Test full screen versus center screen. Test things that are going to provide actual like big lifts in the conversion goal that you're looking for. And I would also say to make sure that, sort of industry standard best practices for A/B testing. And I think this is pretty much, CRO wide, like across the whole industry, is to start and end your A/B tests on the same day at the same time. So if you started on a Tuesday at noon, you want to end on a Tuesday at noon, whether that's 2 weeks, 4 weeks. I know we recommend 30 days usually, but if you're starting to get into crunch time, you only have a couple weeks, just make sure that you're taking a sample size that gives you an accurate look at, at the different trends that you experience week through week. So look for big improvements and start and end at the same time.
I just saw a comment from Sally, who was saying that they set up different campaigns in different time zones and also updated the currency to send direct landing pages for new visitors, so that way that they would see things that were relevant to them. That's something very easy to set up in our rules in the geo-targeting. When it comes to other countries, we can get down to the country level, and within the United States, we can get down to the zip code. So that's something to consider if you're running anything that is based on time or location. Anything to add there, Robbie?
No, you can also, if you're super, super savvy and you're what I'm not sure. Yeah. Oh, never mind. I was looking at what Kira was talking about with,
as was I. Kira,
yeah.
I don't want to put your email in the chat, but if you could just provide us with the site URL that you're having issues with, we'll make sure that someone reaches out to you.
Yeah. But yeah, just geo-targeting and being able to and if you're loading currency into like a banner or something like that, that's a pretty advanced strategy or pretty advanced dynamic variable to drop in there. But you can do that if you identify that variable and you can drop it in and kind of make that more relevant without having to build out so many different promotions for every different country. It really depends on how many countries you're operating in or how many different currencies that you're working with.
Awesome. So the next question is, what if Black Friday, Cyber Monday doesn't go as well as we wanted? How do we recover in the last month of the year? This is an awesome question. Sometimes Black Friday doesn't go as planned, Cyber Monday doesn't go as planned. What can you do to give you your last little boost in Q4 to make sure that you're hitting your goals? Actually, we still have one more webinar, and that's what that entire webinar is covering. We're going to go through what to do during December to help push your sales to the next level, as well as what you can do in January to start Q1 off on a great foot. So make sure that you join next week for us to cover all of that. Any other add-ons to that, Robbie?
Yeah, it was funny. Catherine from our marketing department actually sent us an article talking about the 2019 holidays starting early. First of all, start your sales early. If you're worried about not hitting your goals, start the sale early, because that is generally what companies are doing to stand out, so to speak. Also, just on a general note, like the U.S. holiday spending is seeing a smaller growth rate than it has in the past. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much over not hitting like a stretch goal, because we're not, like at least in the U.S. where consumer spending in the holiday is not hitting the same growth that it has in the past few years. So, I would actually look out and expect that. I know it's like sort of like a wet blanket comment to make on the holiday webinars, but it's just out there. It's the consumer spending might not quite be what it was in the past couple of years. But if you're looking to get out ahead of that, start early, put forth the best deal. If you're not currently selling on Amazon or any big box retailer, do that. Do it, and we encourage you to do that and keep the sales on your site. So those are different avenues that you can do, I think, to do everything in your power to get the most sales possible.
The other thing is I read an article the other day that I think it was like 45% of online shopping happens on people's personal devices, like their cell phones or their tablets. So the other thing that I would suggest is maybe if you don't want to run a countdown timer on your desktop site, you can always run one on your mobile or something in page to help remind those people to come back, especially if you're getting people to come to your site via social media platforms like Instagram. Having something where it's easy to see, that's like, Black Friday sale starts in, 10, 20 days. That's going to encourage somebody not only to come back to your site, but to possibly follow you on social, which could bring you more loyal customers. All right. Our next question is, what was the most impactful change to our on-site promotions we can make? Oh, sorry. What is the most impactful change we can change on our site we can make? I apologize, guys. What is the most impactful change to our on-site promotions we can make? I apologize. Do you have any response to that, Robbie, or do I need to read it again correctly?
No. I feel like we're centering around that right now. Justuno, like, what is the most impactful change that you can make is probably the type of offer that you're promoting or the type of gift or whatever it is. I think that will show the biggest change. Also, if you're running all this stuff through a banner and you don't want to do any center screen pop-ups, changing that orientation of the display will provide big improvements. It's hard to say. I can't tell, Kelsey, if this is more of like a general note about the website versus how you're testing within Justuno. But
I think it's more of what are the big things to focus on. Kind of like the question we had last week, which was what is the minimum I can do? I would say personally, revamp your designs, make them easy to read, clearly state what the deal is, and remove all email captures. I think that's going to really boost more than you think it would when it comes to conversions.
And that's on Black Friday and Cyber Week.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. When those sales are around.
And even December too, like we're going to continue to recommend not running lead capture in December unless it's a very passive approach, because like it's the goal still at that point in time is to convert as many people as possible into sales. And when you convert as many people as possible, then you're getting their email generally as well. So, you're kind of getting the 2-for-1. So it's, let's go for it. Let's put our best foot forward in this time of year. And I think, design, orientation, type of offer. Those are the big three, I think.
Definitely. I would 100% agree. Our next question is, if you could choose one thing to focus your attention on getting done by the end of October, what would it be? I would say, that's a hard one. Robbie, do you have an answer while I think about it?
Lead capture, just like what we were talking about. Like your highest converting channel for the rest of the year is going to be email, right? So it makes sense to do everything you can to get as many emails into that system as possible. And as Kelsey pointed out in the first webinar, at the cost, the CPC is going to be going higher. It's just going to be getting higher, like as we get closer to Black Friday. And so all of your ad spend is going to get infinitely more expensive from here on out. So do what you can now, spend the money that you can now to get those people to your site, maybe save a little bit for like Black Friday and Cyber Week, but you're going to be wanting to turn as many of those people as possible into email leads because they'll have a higher rate of conversion. If you're focusing on all that ad spend just to get people to your site in hopes that they'll convert while they're seeing your doorbuster deals, you're handing your money over to Facebook and to people that are running your ads for you. So just make sure you're doing it wisely because it's going to get really expensive in the early part of November. So if you've already collected a lot of leads at that point and you're able to focus some of those efforts on your email marketing, I think you'll have an easier time.
Hey, Kira, I see there was another response to your concerns in the chat. I think this is more of an offline thing with us helping you out with your conversion code. We're having trouble also finding your email in our system. Is there any chance you could just email me at kelsey@justuno.com and I'll get you taken care of after this webinar? That would be probably best. So that way we're not bumping around some personal information in our chat with everyone. I'll have one of our strategists, Stephanie, put my email in the chat so that way you can email me. Sorry about that, guys. All right, Robbie, next question. If you could choose one thing to, I'm sorry, we just did that. That was our last question. I apologize. Do we have any other questions in the chat? Feel free to bring up anything. It doesn't have to be directly holiday related, anything that you guys need help with or have concerns on. we're happy to start those conversations now. Unless there's something you wanted to chat about too, Robbie.
Well, like we've covered a lot. I think maybe at this point, we could just cover like let's do a bullet point, right? Let's do a bullet point of what we've covered so far in case there's anybody that's still a little bit unclear. Right now, lead capture. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, show people your deals, get out of the way. December, let's talk about how we upsell, cross-sell, bundle, everything like that to boost sales conversions. That is, in my opinion, the biggest, the most bird's eye view of the strategy that we recommend. Kelsey, I'll pass it back to you. Do you agree? Is there something I'm missing there?
No, I think you hit everything.
So, what that means to your company, it might not be exactly the things that we're saying or exactly the examples that we're using, but we've seen these strategies I've been working with clients for the past 5 years on Justuno specifically for the holidays. And so I've seen these strategies kind of work. I've seen the showing an email capture pop up really backfire on Black Friday. And I've seen the other strategies that we've kind of put forth. There's been a big, trial and error period for the past few years, and just really kind of led us to this point of letting if you're capturing emails right now, and if you're actually pulling the reins back on Justuno to make sure that your mobile first and then your desktop user experiences are as airtight and easy and intuitive as possible, that is how you will stand out. Everybody's going to be sending emails. Everybody's going to be spending money on ads. Everybody's going to be doing this and that. But what you do to communicate to that one visitor and how you personalize that and how you let them know, hey, we want you to have a good time shopping on our site, that's like, in my opinion, the best you can do, right? Like, I think that's all anybody can ask, right?
Right. Awesome. So we've got a couple Q&As in here, and Robbie, I'll go ahead and read them to you. The first one comes, what other strategies are good to boost CRO? Let's go ahead and talk about top for the holidays. I know we covered that last week, but let's just cover them again. And then anything that you see working the rest of the year, Robbie.
So what did you say you wanted to cover first?
Just do your best strategies for the holiday to boost CRO, and then we can kind of cover anything that you've seen work outside of the holidays.
Yeah. So like I was just talking about, email converts the best. So do that. One thing that I didn't just say in the past few minutes that I think is worth mentioning is don't rely on the fact that you have a ton of social followers or that you're working with an influencer or working with an agency that works with influencers. Don't rely on that to say A plus B equals conversion, right? Because that's not the case. Typically, social traffic converts at a very, very low rate. So while you should be doing those things, I think you should be doing those things on like Instagram to try and generate conversions through your Instagram site and people purchasing on Instagram. If you are pushing those people to your website, understand that the best thing you can do is capture their email, because that's a micro conversion. And that's probably the best case scenario that you can hope for. And understand that if you isolate that channel alone from like direct traffic, it's night and day. You might have a 5 to 7% opt-in rate from direct traffic, and you might have a less than 1% opt-in rate from social traffic. And that is perfectly normal because of the nature of social traffic. It bounces quickly, it doesn't spend a lot of time on your site.
Speaking on that real quick, Rob, before you move on, we had a professional services client who ran an influencer campaign on Instagram for a free product. And when you came to their site, we had built an amazing landing page that asked them to sign up to unlock their free product. And it actually worked really well. And for the people who came and those who actually engaged and gave their email, I think it was like 12 or 13%. And then the conversion rate beyond that was about 3%. So you're still, it's a very big difference. But like Robbie said, that email is valuable.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes asking someone to, it's the idea of micro commitments. Just get them to say yes to something little, like dropping their email in, or if you're trying to do SMS marketing, something like that. Get them to commit to that one thing, and sort of like breadcrumbs. It's sort of like consumer psychology, but again, lead capture, upselling, cross-selling, bundling, free gifts with purchase. I know one client in particular that we work with, they are starting their Black Friday sale early, like the day before Thanksgiving. And they are saying the first 100 people to make a purchase will get a free gift. They get a free hat. So they're like trying to incentivize this rush of orders. So that's something that you might consider. Can you give away a free gift? Do you have something that you could incentivize that in that regard? Because in my personal opinion as a shopper is I'm going to get someone a gift, and then I get a gift because I bought from them. So that's sort of a win-win for me. That's sort of a neat little trick.
Sorry, Robbie, even depending on what you're selling, if you don't have a inventory where it's realistic to give away one of your products, we had a car parts client with professional services who did something very similar. And, obviously you can't give away, $200 car parts online, but they gave away like company swag. So lanyards, stickers, a hat, things like that. And it actually performed very well. So you don't underestimate the ability to get people to convert with free things, even if it's not something you sell traditionally on your site. And it may just be a pack of stickers or a keychain with your company logo on it.
Or a gift card, if someone is going to purchase and then you give them a $25 gift card, that's not going to like cover the cost of something that they might buy in the future, but you're getting them to come back in the future and buy again. That is real stickiness from the point of the consumer, and you've just gotten them to purchase twice. So that's I would also say that that's a pretty creative way to do it as well. If you have nothing else that you can offer, kind of like Kelsey saying, like car parts or something like that, where it's not really a sexy giveaway option, you can do a gift card as well. And that almost guarantees someone coming back and at least looking at your site again. And we all want return traffic, right? Like return traffic is usually what has a higher intent to buy. So gifts with purchase it's a great idea.
We have another great question. How do we upsell, cross-sell, and bundle with Justuno? Complicated question, but we can in fact do it. The one thing that you might want to consider is our AI features, which are available on professional services or our Plus platforms. If you guys have interest in this, we've extended our offer for the holiday webinar participants, which I'll go over here when we're done with our conversation. But that would be the easiest thing to do. You can also build them manually. It does depend very much on the platform that you're on and how to set that up technically. And this may not be common knowledge with everyone, but professional services does projects. So if you wanted to build a cross-sell, upsell strategy for your visitors to see, that is something that we would be able to get done for you with no long-term commitment. I'm going to give it to Robbie to explain any technical aspects that he thinks may be easy to go through real quick.
Yeah. So aside from Commerce AI is a dynamic, smart, algorithm-based way to present recommendations for people to also add to cart. So that's sort of what Kelsey's referring to. If you were to do it from a more manual way too, you can utilize our CTA layers. And what you would do is essentially just drop in whatever the variant is that you're going to add to the cart. When you say, hey, we saw that you just added this to your cart, we want to offer you this for free, right? And maybe it's set to $0. You can just simply drop in the variant ID into Kelsey. I don't know if you can pull up a Justuno instance right now, but might be easier for people to visualize this.
Let me pop over here into Justuno.
Yeah. So we'll use one of our pre-builts maybe. Yeah. So this is actually great. This is perfect. So let's say in this, this is like an exit offer. This is a mobile exit offer, right? So we'll say this person didn't submit an email. They didn't do anything like that. So yeah, great. Give us your email and then we'll give you a free gift. So we'll go to the post engagement screen where this coupon code would normally be. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that coupon code. So we'll get rid of this coupon code and then we'll drop in a CTA. And so you can design this however you see fit. And then we'll change the text. Obviously, we'll change the text to say like, you know, add this to your cart for free or something. And yeah. Yeah. So, and then Kelsey, we click on that again. Yeah. So down here, if you go down here at the bottom of the layer options, you're going to see data ID. So this essentially what that means is that is your variant ID of the product that will be added to the cart when this person clicks the CTA. So, or whether or not it's free, whether or not it's discounted, you can actually drop those in. Alternatively, you can also run a add to cart CTA that maybe has a discount rule attached to it. Sort of all depends on your platform that you're operating in, but those are two options for adding items to cart, and that actually works for upselling, for cross-selling, especially bundling. We've worked with a company that sells bottled water or box water, like alkaline water, and so they buy a pack and then they try to sell them, they try to upsell them on the flavored pack. And so we just work with them to get that all lined up, and that's utilizing this method. And so Kelsey, let's go one step further. Let's go into the rules and show them how to, you know, maybe target someone like this, target a certain participant. So we'll go into our rules, and this will require you to use an advanced rule. So let's say, yeah, test rule. So when do we want to show this campaign, right? We want to show it when someone adds a particular item to the cart. So we'll go to our cart order rules. And this goes back to our comment about making sure you have all of our codes installed. So item added to cart this visit, boom. We'll drop that in here. And then we'll change this item key to variation ID, which is a variant ID. And then is equal to whatever it is, whatever that SKU is or that variant ID is. So this pop-up now is going to show once per session when this item is added to the cart, right? And so you can also add in other things like they've never placed an order before, right? This is a new customer. Similarly, they've never here. Yeah, there you go. Will you go to the user engagement rules too? So this category too, this is an interesting thing I found. Let's go down to has ever engaged with a specific promotion. So there we go. We're going to drag this in and we're going to say they have not ever engaged with a CTA click. And then actually, I guess you don't need to do, I'm sorry, Kelsey, I messed that up. Can you get rid of that condition and just do has ever engaged with a pop-up? Has up there at the top, have ever engaged with any pop-up? Right. One more.
Oh, did I grab them? Oh, I apologize, guys.
All right. Yeah, there we go. So we'll say they have not ever engaged with a CTA click. So that was this was an interesting thing that we found as a workaround, saying like, if you're running multiple upsell and cross-sell promotions and you want to make sure you keep people very siloed in them, then you can, obviously you're going to set this variant ID condition up, but you also can say they've never clicked a CTA, because guess what? All of these upsell cross-sells involve people clicking CTAs. So that's a good way to keep those people really segmented. So what did we do here? We determined not once a specific item, this one, is added to cart and these other conditions are met, we are going to show this opportunity for someone to add something via a Justuno CTA. There's really only kind of like, there's only two parts to it. Sounds a little bit more daunting than it is, but of course we have documentation surrounding all of it.
Yeah, just search whatever you're trying to do in our support. So in this case, add item to cart via CTA or CTA add to cart. in our support, and all the articles for the different platforms will appear. You ready for the next question, Robbie?
Yeah.
All right. What kind of offering trends lead to engaged lead capture? That is to say, leads to a customer that will want to receive emails from us on a regular basis versus just wanting a discount code.
That is to say, leads to a customer that will want to receive emails on a regular basis versus just one. Okay, so, you know, there's a lot of pieces that go into that. So the number one overarching thing is this is more of a brand question, but is your brand selling a lifestyle? Are you a Patagonia or a Nike or someone that people identify with as a part of their own culture? You know, like, are you doing those things? Because those companies that do that, that occupy a space like that in someone's life, they have people that are into receiving their emails all the time. Also, if you're not as much that, are your emails down to like the email marketing? Are you emailing people too much? Are you including value in each of your emails, like a new product release or a discount or, you know, early access to something? And then you can come down to the Justuno level and say, you know, you can get you know, all pure engaged emails by not offering any discount. You could say stay up to date with the latest and greatest, but usually we're going to see those promos get about a less than a 2% opt-in rate, which is not very high. So usually when you offer the discount, or you say, you know, a giveaway is another great option. You could say, hey, we're going to pick a winner for, you know, this trip to San Diego or something like that. You know, those things help you generate a lot of emails. And at the end of the day, we can help you procure as many emails as possible. And then whether they stay on is sort of a question of the email marketing and the brand in general. But you can experiment with those different things.
Just a small thought. Last week we kind of discussed emails and keeping them and how to get people's attention on Black Friday. Those apply year round. We discussed having different kinds of subject lines that can really keep people's interest, such as, sorry guys, I'm plugging in my computer here. There we go. Such as emojis or short, very interesting subject lines. I was actually reading an article this past week, and one of them that I really liked was talking about Black Friday. It had the two emoji hands, one pointing up and one pointing down, and it said better than these offers. And honestly, if I saw that in my inbox, I would definitely click on it. So if you want to keep people interested, make sure that you're applying those best practices year round.
Absolutely. It's really a holistic effort to keep people engaged in your emails. But we would argue that the first step is getting as many emails into your list as possible, right? Like, because there's a good portion of those people who, whether or not they're opening all of your emails, they're still mildly interested in hearing from you. They still see, oh, you know, like when they are in the market for whatever you're selling, they're gonna look at that next email you send to them. So get as many people in there as possible. The people that really don't want the emails will unsubscribe, but for the most part, you know, just use Justuno to get as many in as possible, and then use your email marketing and your brand voice to keep them sticky.
Definitely. Another question, back to AI cross-sell, upsell. Someone had an extended question. In reference to the cross-sell question, what if a product has different sizes when using the CTA? It's a little bit more tricky. You there, Robbie?
No, I said you go ahead on that one.
Okay. It's much more tricky, to be honest. Usually requires a little bit of custom code. Our support staff can most likely help you set that up, but that's where I bring up, again, either the Commerce AI, which it's a built-in feature, or having something specially built out for you by our professional services team. We've done this in the past. Again, it's not simple. It requires a lot of custom coding. However, it is doable. So that's something you might want to consider as you move forward with your plans.
I would say, just to add on to that too, if that is the case for you, as it is with a lot of companies, using our Commerce AI feature offers even more things outside of just AI cross-sell and upsell. So it's really just worth it. Just get on the plus plan to have access to that. Then you can implement these things really kind of immediately. And it's all like Kelsey said, it's out of the box, because when you utilize our Commerce AI feature, we're reading your entire product catalog, we're ingesting it along with your order info, with your order data. And so these things are all happening in the background, and you don't have to go through as much effort or wait as long or anything like that for those things to be live on your site. Essentially, you can, it's really more or less like out of the box once you've signed up and gotten on Commerce AI.
Definitely. And as I said before, it's all based on your needs and what you're looking for. And the people who are going to be able to point you in the right direction is our sales staff. If you have any questions on if Plus is right for you or if professional services is, that's something you definitely want to talk about with one of our talented gentlemen who will be able to point you in the right direction. I'm going to leave it open for another couple of questions. I am going to go over our next set of, just our next page here, which is, this is your last chance for 20% off a professional services and Justuno hybrid plan. If you're feeling like you may not be able to get this all done, or you're deciding that you want to do something more complicated, you can reach out to Derek at justuno.com and put Holiday Hustle in the subject line, and they will definitely help you out. This was expired last Friday, but we've gone ahead and opened it up for one more week. So if anybody wants to reach out and get on one of these higher plans to fulfill your holiday dream promotion, just email Derek. We do have one more question. I'm not sure if we can answer this, Robbie. Oh, there it goes. Just lost it. There it goes. What does it cost altogether with 20% off?
So that's generally where our sales team comes in. They'll make sure they know your needs and everything like that. We don't have necessarily, we have set platform pricing. So whether you sign up for, like a Justuno 100K plan or something like that, that pricing is all set. But our team is working out plans with people based on, different aspects of the plan setup. So we can't give you, especially not knowing your traffic level or anything like that. We can't say right off the bat, like, oh, this is how much it costs with the 20% off. But the simple answer to that is 20% off of the list price. And usually our sales team, I've been on a lot of calls with our sales team as a solutions engineer, and generally speaking, like they're working with the client in real time, saying like, okay, what do you need here? Like, is this a short-term commitment? And all those things kind of play into the cost. And then the 20% is added onto that.
And, if you're just curious, there's no pressure to sign. If you just want to know what you'll get and what that 20% would be, our sales team is more than happy to walk you through that. Awesome. So we've answered all of the questions and covered everything we planned to today. We really appreciate everyone hopping back on. We'll go ahead and end a little early today, give you 15 minutes back to go over those checklists. You can expect to see the review email that will have another checklist, a link to this URL for this video, as well as any support articles or blog posts that we discussed today over the course of this episode. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your week. And we'll see you next week, where we are going to cover keeping it strong through the end of the year and your conversions going into 2020. Thanks everybody.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.